Welcome to Restoria. I'm Jenna, and this is your cozy corner for gentle bedtime stories. Each night, I'll share peaceful tales made to quiet your thoughts and guide you softly into sleep. So settle in, get comfy, and let the story carry you into rest. The story tonight is called The Sleep Well Pods. Chapter 1. The Quiet Corner. The street outside is gently damp, carrying the smell of pavement, still holding the memory of rain. It glistens in places where the light pools from windows and shop fronts, now shuttered and drowsy. Somewhere, a bicycle wheel clicks softly as someone pedals past, but the rest of the city feels like it's breathing slower tonight. Marin's steps are light, more from fatigue than grace. Her backpack rests low on her shoulders, its weight familiar and unremarkable. She turns the corner onto a narrow street, not quite hidden, but the kind you wouldn't wander into unless you were looking for it. The sign above the doorway is small and gently lit, its glow the color of candlelight. The Sleep Well Pod. The lettering is curved and slow, the kind that makes you exhale just reading it. She steps inside and the door closes with a hush. The air changes, immediately softer, warmer, cedar and lavender rising gently to greet her. The floor beneath her feet is padded, her footsteps soundless. A shelf to the right holds rows of slippers, each pair tucked neatly, waiting. The host smiles from behind a small desk, lit only by the glow of a salt lamp. No words are spoken. There is only a slow nod, a tiny clipboard, a pen placed with care. Marin writes her name in careful strokes. The host returns the nod, then beckons quietly. They walk together past closed curtains, past other soft-lit signs with pod numbers. A quiet murmur of waves drifts from one, rain from another. A soft clink of ceramic from somewhere nearby, someone with tea. The corridor feels more like a library than a hallway. There's reverence here, a kind of hush that isn't imposed but invited. Every sound, no matter how small, feels placed with intention. A distant page turning, the muffled stretch of a yawn, the sound of socks brushing against the floor. Pod 7 sits at the end of the hallway. Its curtain is a thicker fabric, a darker hue navy, touched with the barest constellation of tiny dots. The host draws it aside With slow hands, Marin steps inside. The pod is no larger than a generous closet, but it breathes with space. A low mattress, impossibly soft, blankets folded with intent, a pillow that looks like it's already been dreamed into. In the ceiling above, a round window peers up at a softening sky with one quiet star blinking hello. A small shelf holds a clay cup turned upside down, a pitcher of water, and a tissue-thin cloth napkin folded into a square. There is a little note beside it, handwritten and tidy. Nothing is expected. Everything is allowed. Rest well. Marin sets her backpack down, takes off her shoes, slips into the slippers, waiting just inside. Her body already feels different, like the edges are softening. She reaches for the sound panel. Her fingers hover, then choose train. A low, steady rhythm begins the hum and hush of something moving far away, safe and slow. She lingers there for a moment, hand still resting near the panel, listening. There is something about the sound, the illusion of movement without effort, that makes her shoulders release, her chest expand in a longer breath. The curtain is drawn again behind her. The light dims to a golden glow. She sits on the edge of the mattress, then lays back. No scrolling, no planning, just the rise of her breath, the gentle shift of fabric as she turns to one side, the faintest creak as the mattress cradles her. Through the wall, there's a sigh, a rustle, the soft clatter of a journal closing, a whisper of pages, then stillness. Marin listens, then she doesn't. Her thoughts drift to the edges, then dissolve, and the train rolls quietly through the night, taking her with it. Outside, the city keeps breathing. Inside pod 7, so does she. Chapter 2, A Cup of Stillness. Morning doesn't break in the sleep well pods. It eases in. Light doesn't pour through windows. It arrives gradually, like warm breath across a foggy mirror. In pod 7, the round skylight above Marin brightens slowly, its light mimicking the soft shift of dawn behind gauze. She stirs, not from noise, but from the way the air itself feels a little less like night. Her eyes open, not wide, but gently, like she's peeking into morning rather than waking up fully. She stays there in the nest of blankets for several minutes, breathing, remembering that she doesn't need to rush, that this place isn't tied to checkout times or clocks ticking toward the next thing. Her eyes drift to the window again. The star she saw last night has vanished, tucked away behind the soft veil of morning. In its place, a gentle blush of color in the sky, neither gray nor blue, something quiet in between. Outside her pod, there are the faintest sounds of morning movement, a curtain rustling closed, slippers gliding softly down the hallway, a whisper of water being poured, but it all feels more like a continuation of sleep than a departure from it. Eventually, Marin stretches, one arm, then the other. A deep, wordless sigh tumbles from her lips. Her body feels different this morning, not entirely light, but looser, as if some of yesterday's heaviness stayed behind in the folds of the pillow. She swings her legs over the side of the mattress, feeling the coolness of the air meet the warmth of her skin. The slippers are waiting. She slides into them, padding softly to the little shelf. The clay cup is smooth and cool in her hand. She fills it from the pitcher, sips slowly. The water tastes like nothing and something like stillness itself, like rest. She stands in the pod a moment longer, letting her eyes trace the soft lines of the space, the folded blanket, the round skylight. The way the pod seems to hold its breath just a little, as if reluctant to let her go. With slow hands, she folds the blanket at the foot of the mattress, not out of obligation, but out of quiet gratitude, a thank you in gesture. When she draws the curtain back, the hallway feels bathed in early morning hush. One or two other curtains are slightly open. A pair of guests move silently toward the shared kitchen space, a small alcove with warm lights and steam rising gently from a kettle. Marin walks that way. Her steps match the quiet rhythm of the space. She doesn't think about what she looks like. Her hair is probably tousled, her eyes still a little heavy. But here, there is no performance, just being. The kitchen is simple, a wooden counter, a few stools, and a low shelf of teas arranged in a neat little row. She chooses one without reading the label, trusting the colors and the moment. A soft green packet, chamomile, and something faintly citrus. She pours water into a small ceramic mug, carries it to a stool by the window. Outside, the city continues. People pass by, umbrellas tucked under arms, coffee cups in hand. But from here, it looks more like a painting than a call to action. A slow train hum echoes faintly in her memory, as if still playing somewhere beneath the silence. The comforting rhythm lingers not in her ears now, but in the way her heart moves. She holds the cup close. Steam touches her nose. The first sip is like a small kindness. It anchors her in the moment, not because it's extraordinary, but because it's quiet. Another guest sits nearby, not too close. Their presence is like a candle on the far side of a room, warm, not intrusive. They nod. Marin nods back. Nothing else is needed. The two sit like that for a while. No words, just tea and morning and shared silence. An old radio on the shelf emits a soft chime, not a song, just a tone, as though marking the hour without demanding it. She closes her eyes again for a moment, and the warmth of the tea, the hush of the room, the soft pulse of the world outside it all gathers into one thought. This morning, there is enough, and maybe that is everything. Chapter 3. Notes in the quiet. Later in the morning, when the light has softened fully into day, Marin drifts back down the hallway, not because she's tired again, but because the stillness calls her back, a kind of gravity in the quiet. She returns to part 7, slips inside for just a moment. Her pack waits in the corner, unopened. She kneels beside it and pulls out a small cloth-bound notebook. The corners are worn, the fabric gently frayed from travel. A pen rests tucked in the spine. She does not bring her journal to the kitchen. Instead, she finds a small nook near the reading alcove, a sunken cushion surrounded by sheer curtains designed for quiet moments. The light here glows soft gold through the gauze, dust motes drifting in the stillness. She curls into the cushion and opens the notebook to a blank page. The pen feels familiar in her hand, not heavy, not urgent, There is no need for stories or reflections, just little fragments, words like breadcrumbs, lavender, air, a train that hums sleep into my chest, kind eyes in a quiet room, stillness tastes like warm water. I didn't know how tired I was. She writes slowly, letting the pen rest often between thoughts. The page does not need to be filled. It only needs to hold space. Her handwriting is looser than usual, curving gently, shaped more by mood than precision. She watches ink trail behind her pen like smoke, like steam curling from a mug. Around her, the sounds of the pothouse breathe in and out. Someone's soft footfalls in the hallway. The low whisper of pages turning in the reading alcove. My kettle clicks off with a gentle sigh. A breeze moves faintly through the space, the kind that isn't strong enough to shift much, just enough to remind her that the world is still turning, that outside the windows, leaves are probably trembling a little, that clouds are rearranging themselves slowly. Another guest moves quietly past the nook, pausing for a second. Their presence doesn't disturb its joints. They place a folded paper crane on the windowsill, then walk on. Marin watches the crane for a moment. It faces the outside world, still and content. She returns to her page. Paper birds don't need to fly. The words settle onto the paper like they were always there. She breathes in, lets the stillness pool in her chest. There are no rules for how long to stay in a place like this. No itinerary, no pressure. The quiet gives permission to pause. She watches the curtains sway slightly in a passing breeze, or maybe it's just someone moving softly past. It reminds her of breath. Somewhere, someone chuckles softly, not loud enough to disturb, just a ripple in the hush. The kind of laugh shared between people wrapped in blankets with steaming mugs in hand. She smiles. She sets the pen down, closes the notebook, holds it in her lap like a warm stone, one hand resting on top, fingers light. Nothing pressing waits, nothing shouts for her attention. There is only this, a soft place, a morning with room in it, a few quiet pages written in a house made for resting, and the folded crane remains on the windowsill, keeping company with the light. Chapter 4. The Window Table By afternoon, the sun begins its slow descent. The light in the pothouse takes on a deeper gold, touching the walls and cushions with something almost honeyed. Everything feels a little warmer, a little softer. Marin finds herself drawn to the small table by the wide front window. It's not a desk, not really, just a wooden surface with 2 chairs and a soft throw folded over one of them. The kind of place that invites you to pause without asking why. She brings a cup of warm barley tea this time, earthy, with a hint of roasted grain. Its warmth presses into her palms as she sits. She doesn't open her notebook yet. She simply watches. The city outside moves slowly from this side of the glass. A woman walks her dog in careful loops. A cyclist coasts by with a scarf trailing behind. The traffic lights blink their colors as if dreaming. Inside, the pothouse remains quiet. A soft rustle of someone fluffing a pillow, the clink of porcelain as someone rinses a cup, the occasional creak of the floorboards adjusting to the hour. Marin lets her hand rest over the rim of the cup. Her thumb traces its curve. She feels the tea's warmth through the ceramic, not hot, just present, like something waiting patiently beside her. A small, folded newspaper sits on the table yesterday's, perhaps. She doesn't read it, but smooths the page with her palm. An image of a seaside town stares back at her. Quiet boats, a single pier, a person standing at the edge, looking out. She wonders about them, what they were thinking, if they, too, had paused in the middle of a quiet day to simply breathe. If stillness reached across places like fingers touching through glass. For a long time, she just sits. No need to name the thoughts that come. They drift like the slow shadows cast by branches outside, each one fading into the night. A quiet presence joins her, the same guest from breakfast, perhaps. They take the second chair, carefully unfolding the throw and draping it over their lap. No greeting, but a shared glance, a gentle nod. Marin doesn't feel watched. She feels accompanied. The difference is everything. The two sit together for a while, letting time pass without marking it. Outside, the sun slips lower. Inside, the shadows grow longer, softer. She finishes her tea slowly, one last sip, held longer than the rest, like a pause before a gentle bow. No conversation, just the comfort of being side by side, like pages in a book, different but touching. From a nearby shelf, soft music begins, something ambient and quiet, almost a whisper. Not a song with words, just tones and movement, like wind moving through tall grass. Marin listens, not with her ears, but with her body. The music fills the spaces that words leave behind. It holds the room gently, like someone brushing back a strand of hair. She turns towards the window again. A boy on the sidewalk presses a leaf between the pages of a small book. His mother waits nearby, sipping from a paper cup. The boy holds the book to his chest afterward, as if something sacred now lives inside. And Marin breathes with it, as though she's part of something whole. She glances down at her teacup, empty now, with just a pale ring of memory left at the bottom. She turns it slowly in her hands, watching the last light of day play along its rim. Everything feels hushed. Even her thoughts have begun to whisper. There is a feeling she can't quite name, not joy exactly, and not sorrow, just presence, like she is sitting not just in a chair, but in the center of a quiet truth. She doesn't move yet. She lets the stillness wrap itself around her one more time. The guest beside her rests their hand on the table, fingers lightly touching the grain of the wood. The gesture says nothing, and everything, somewhere in the building, a drawer slides open with a soft rasp. The sound is distant, gentle, like someone retrieving a sweater from a low shelf. Familiar, domestic, the kind of moment that usually passes unnoticed, but here it feels tender. A breeze rises and slips through the small window vent. It stirs the edges of the folded newspaper. It carries with it a scent faint citrus, maybe from the kitchen, or the hint of rain from far away. Marin closes her eyes, not to sleep, but to feel it more clearly. The layers of quiet, the way this moment seems to press softly into her ribs, asking nothing, offering everything. Something unspoken, slow, and stitched together by moments like these. Chapter 5. The Linen Closet. Marin walked slowly down the hallway, her steps hushed against the padded floor. There's no reason to move quickly. In the sleepwell pods, time doesn't press. It opens. She passes the kitchen, now quiet again. A single cup sits drying on the counter, catching the late afternoon light. The smell of something herbal, thyme, maybe lingers faintly in the air. Beyond the alcove with the reading cushions and the gentle sway of curtains, there is a door she hadn't noticed before. Wooden, pale, with a small, hand-painted sign that reads simply, Linens. She pushes it open gently. The hinges whisper. Inside is a room no larger than a closet, but here, too, the hush lifts. Rows of folded blankets stacked with care, cream, slate blue, soft gray, shelves of towels, some thick, some gauzy and light. A small basket of sachets rests in the corner, lavender, cedar, lemon balm. She steps inside and closes the door softly behind her. It's cooler here and dim. A soft bulb glows above, nestled in a woven shade. The air smells of cotton and memory. She runs her hand along the edge of one folded blanket. It gives slightly beneath her touch. She picks it up, soft, gray, edges slightly worn. A warmth rises in her chest, not from the fabric, but from the familiarity of it. There's a little bench in the corner. She sits, blanket folded in her lap. The door remains closed. No one else comes. It feels like she stepped inside, a breath held for just this moment. In the quiet, memories stir not loud or sharp, but gentle. Afternoons as a child, hiding beneath laundry lines. The sound of her mother folding sheets. The weight of a quilt pulled over her shoulders by hands that meant safety. The silence here has depth to it. It's not empty, it's full. Full of waiting, of breath, of all the softness that has passed through this room and lingered in its fibers. She presses the blanket to her chest, closes her eyes. It doesn't matter if she stays here 5 minutes or 50. This place holds time like water in cupped hands, carefully, quietly. A note is pinned to the wall above the bench. Handwritten, small. If you need a softness you cannot name, take one. Return it if you wish, or don't. She smiles, the kind of smile that doesn't reach her lips, but blooms behind her eye. Not everything has to be named. She leans back slightly, head resting against the cool wall behind her. Her breath deepens. The soft glow above sways slightly, casting faint shadows across the folded linens. The moment stretches, gentle and whole. A breeze from the hallway sighs beneath the door. It nudges the sachet slightly, releasing a whisper of cedar. She inhales, lets it linger in her lungs, then slowly lets it go. Somewhere in the building, a page turns, the chair creaks, the sounds float in like leaves falling onto water, barely rippling. When she stands, she does not rush. She refolds the blanket, places it back where it was, then selects a thinner one, sea glass green, drapes it over her arm. The fabric is light but grounding like moss after a rain. She lingers a moment longer, her fingers brushing the wood of the door frame, as if saying thank you, as if leaving a part of herself behind, something softened, something soothed. The door opens as quietly as it closed. She steps back into the hallway, a little softer than before. The air outside feels warmer somehow, or maybe it's just her. She walks with a blanket folded over one arm, not needing it yet, but comforted by its presence. Like carrying a whisper, she pauses at the corner where the hallway turns, looks back. The door to the linen closet is closed now, but its quiet still radiates, like a lamp left glowing in an otherwise dark room. The blanket shifts slightly as she moves. She adjusts it gently as one would cradle a memory. Her fingers press into its softness, not to hold tighter, but to feel more fully. She walks on. The sea glass blanket rustles softly against her sleeve, a sound as gentle as breath. And behind her, the linen closet holds its hush, waiting for the next person who needs it. Chapter 6. The Slow Shelf. Evening arrives like a whisper. It brushes softly along the edges of the pot house, dimming the corners, deepening the colors, slowing everything down. Marin, blanket in arm, returns to the common space with no plan but to be. She finds a corner she hasn't noticed before, a low alcove lined with books. The sign above reads, "The Slow Shelf." Beneath it, in hand-painted letters, "Books that breathe with you." She kneels in front of it. The books here aren't arranged by genre or author. They sit in no hurry. Some are worn, pages soft with time. Others look almost untouched. The titles aren't loud. No bold fonts or dust jackets. Just quiet spines in muted hues. Stillness in stone. The weather of hands. How to sit with rain. She reads them like one might read poetry slowly, out loud in her mind. She chooses a slim volume called Soft Hours. The cover, a faded drawing of a window in early light. It fits easily in her hands. She carries it to the nearby armchair, tucks her blanket around her legs, and opens to the first page. There is no table of contents, no chapter list, just a single line at the top of the page. Begin anywhere you feel soft. So she does. Each passage is like a breath, a story of someone stirring soup in a quiet kitchen, a memory of rain against a train window, a letter never sent, only folded carefully and left between pages. Marin reads slowly, not for meaning but for rhythm. She lets the words settle on her like snowfall. Her eyelids grow heavy, not from sleep, but from peace. The chair creaks as she shifts slightly, pulling the blanket higher around her shoulders. She tucks her feet beneath her, feeling the soft give of the cushion below. The lamp beside her glows amber, casting gentle shadows over the book. The room smells faintly of tea and worn pages, a comforting blend of leaf and ink, warmth and age. She lets it ground her, lets it curl around her like steam from a freshly poured cup. Others pass by, some pausing to scan the shelf, some lingering nearby. No one speaks, but presence hums gently between them like the low note of a cello. There's a quiet reverence here, as if everyone has agreed to move a little slower, breathe a little deeper. One guest kneels beside the shelf and lifts a book as if lifting a kitten, careful, tender. Another leans against the doorframe, eyes closed, simply existing. Marin closes the book and holds it in her lap. A few pages read, many still waiting, but there's no need to finish. Some books, like some nights, are not meant to be completed. She places the book back where it belongs. Her fingers linger at the spine. Then she presses her palm softly to the cover, a kind of thank you. She lingers a moment longer, gazing at the titles she didn't choose. Letters to the fog, the weight of light. She wonders who else has opened these books and what soft places they've carried with them. The guest brushes past gently, pausing to place a small pressed flower between the pages of another volume, a trace of something tender left behind. Marin smiles, and when she turns to go, the lights of the pothouse glow like candlelight across the floor, guiding her back to the quiet she now carries inside. And on the shelf, Soft Hours waits patiently, exactly where she left it. Chapter 7, Night Side Tea. The sky has slipped into its evening skin, deep blue, touched with charcoal and the faintest flecks of stars. Inside the sleepwell pods, lights glow low, amber and gold, like lanterns held in gentle hands. Marin walks softly into the shared kitchen again. Her sea glass blanket is draped around her shoulders, the corners trailing like a tide. She moves without hurry, drawn by the quiet murmur of water just brought to a boil. The kettle sings a soft, single note before falling silent. A hand, not hers, lifts it gently, pouring water into a small ceramic teapot. The guest from earlier, the one from the window table, smiles as Marin enters. A silent invitation is extended with a nod toward the second mug. Marin accepts. No words are needed. She sits across from them, the soft clink of teacups, the only sound between them. Steam rises, curling into the warm air like threads of thought. The tea is floral, something with chamomile, maybe elderflower. It tastes like moonlight, feels cool and quiet, with a softness that finds the corners of the soul. They drink slowly. A rhythm emerges, the small ceremony of sip and pause, of glancing at the window where night presses gently against the glass. No need for conversation. Their shared silence is full. It hums low and comforting, like a cat curled between them, purring. Another guest passes behind them, slippers brushing the floor. They refill their cup and leave a folded napkin by the sink, a small gesture, a mark of presence. The scent of the tea deepens as it steeps, a little stronger now, almost honeyed. Marin watches the rising steam and lets her mind drift not far, just gently outward, like fog curling over quiet hills. The window glass glimmers faintly. Beyond it, the sky is a deep, forgiving dark, dotted with soft stars. One flickers, then steadies. She wonders how long it's been there and if it watches back. Marin wraps her hands around her mug. She feels the warmth seep through her palms and into her chest. There's something sacred about this moment, not grand or important, but still holy in its own quiet way. The guest across from her finishes their tea first. They place their cup down with care, stand, and offer a nod of farewell. Marin returns it, a goodbye without goodbye. Alone now, she finishes her tea. The last sip is cooler, sweeter, like a lullaby winding down. She rinses her cup, wipes the counter slowly with the edge of a cloth. Each motion deliberate, slow, each step a kind of gratitude. A quiet tick of the clock echoes faintly from the hall. Not a warning, just a reminder that time still moves, even gently. The sea glass blanket slips slightly down her shoulder as she walks back through the halls. She pulls it close again, not from chill, just to feel it nearer. Lights are dimmed now, barely there, as though the house itself is tucking in. From within one part, the sound of distant waves. From another, the low crackle of imagined fire. She walks past them slowly, catching these fragments like lullabies drifting through a neighborhood. Everyone wrapped in their own stillness, everyone holding in their own way something soft. She pauses outside her pod, fingers resting lightly on the frame. The quiet breath of the place surrounds her like a hand resting gently on her back. And the night deepens, quietly, kindly, and the teapot stays warm, waiting for the next moment of stillness. Chapter 8, Part 7, Before Sleep. Marin steps into Pod 7. The door clicks closed behind her with the soft sound of completion. Not finality, just a chapter finding its page. The pod is dim. Soft amber light filters in from the tiny reading lamp. The skylight above holds a slice of night stars, barely visible, but there. Steady, she sits first, not lying down yet, letting herself arrive. The mattress gives gently beneath her, like it remembers her shape. The sea glass blanket drapes easily over her lap. She smooths its folds with one hand, the fabric whispering beneath her fingers. From the little sound panel, she chooses the train, low, steady, distant, a rhythm that holds without pulling. The hush of tracks in the dark, never quite arriving, never quite gone. She lies down, turning slightly onto her side, one arm curled beneath the pillow, the other resting lightly across her stomach. Her breathing slows to match the rhythm in her ears. Outside, somewhere, a faint breeze shifts the night air. It brushes against the skylight, a quiet echo of movement. Inside, all is still. Her thoughts, once full of lists and loops, begin to loosen. One by one, they soften, a note left unread, a worry about tomorrow, a half-formed question, all of them now simply drift. She lets her eyes close, not forced, not chased, just allowed. The train sound hums in her bone, not loud, just present, like the memory of a voice. She is warm. She is held. She is still herself, but the edges blur as though sleep is already holding her hand. No dreams yet, just the gentle waiting. The pod house breathes around her, walls and windows, and light and dark, all gently shifting together, all part of the same exhale. Someone down the hall turns in bed, a page rustles, a breath deepens, sleep settles slowly like dust in late sun. Her fingers twitch once beneath the blanket, a tiny flutter, the body remembering something it no longer needs to carry. She exhales, slowly, deeper than before. The sound of the train continues, steady and low, as if it too knows the comfort of circles of motion without destination. She thinks of the linen closet, of tea in the warm kitchen, of books that don't ask to be finished, of hands not held but felt. She thinks of stillness not as absence, but as presence, something whole and true, the kind that lingers long after the door is closed, the kind that asks nothing, only offers. And Marin, cradled by sound and softness, lets go. And outside the pod, the stars hold steady, quiet and small, and never in a hurry.